I understand from your explanations about vegetarianism that it originally comes from Jainism and Buddhism. Do you mean that vegetarianism does not belong to Hinduism at all? Do I understand that correctly? You see, what we call Hinduism is not something that has a 500-year history. It has maybe 10,000 years of history, maybe even more. The oldest text of what we call Hinduism today we call it Hinduism, the oldest text of that is the Rigveda, which was written thousands of years ago, at a time when the Saraswati River was in her prime. That's when the Rigveda was written. What year was it? We don't know for sure. Maybe closer to 6000 BC than to 2000 BC. Because 2000 BC, the river disappears in the southern half of its course. And 6000 BC is when the decline initially starts, the decline of the river. So the Rigveda was written closer to 6000 BC than to 2000 BC. Now, the oldest religious text, not just for Hinduism, but for the entire world, the oldest literary text in the world, therefore, is the Rigveda. Now, that is, you could say, the foundation of what we call Hinduism today. Eventually, you had other Vedas that were written, and then you had so many, tens of thousands of texts that were written about Hinduism, which are all part of what we now call Hinduism. So if we look at the original text, the foundational text, the oldest text, the Rigveda, what does it say about eating meat? It says, so here are the things it says. It says, killing of cows is unacceptable. Cows are not to be killed. If somebody kills cow, the punishment should be really harsh. So cows are not to be killed. That's what the Rigveda says. The Rigveda also says that horses are not to be killed unless it's the Ashwamedha Yagna. So only a great king can do it. Otherwise, horses can't be killed. It doesn't say anything about any other animals. And it does prescribe various yagnas in which animals are sacrificed and eaten. So in the Rigveda, it's very clear. You don't kill cows, you don't kill horses, except if you are a great Chakravarti king and then you can do the Ashwamedha Yagna. So the Rigveda doesn't say a thing about not eating meat. It only specifies which animals are not to be killed. That's all. So do you have any advocacy or prescription for vegetarianism in the Rigveda? None whatsoever. Then you have Atharva Veda, which comes later, right? In the Atharva Veda, we have lists of animals which should not be killed. So it's an expanded list. It not only has the cow and the horse, it also has deer, wild deer, etc., and various other animals. So it's an expanded list. Of course, the Rigveda also says you can't kill humans. Okay, it says you can't kill humans unless it's war or crime or whatever. So in the Yajur Veda, you have other animals that can't be killed. But once again, it doesn't say that you have a universal prescription or mandate for being vegetarian. Later, we have all kinds of other philosophical schools of thought that came in, right? Later schools of thought. And some of these become, advocates of vegetarianism. So today, depending on what school of thought you follow, whether you are a Vaishnav, whether you are a Shaivite, whether you are this, whether you are that, depending on what you follow, you will live a certain lifestyle, right? So Hinduism is not a universalistic way of life or religion. It's not a monolithic religion. All kinds of practices are allowed in Hinduism. You can be a pure vegetarianism. You can be a pure vegetarian. You can be vegan if you want to. You can eat only spaghetti if it suits you. Spaghetti aglio e olio, or you could eat carnivorous diet if you like. The only thing you can't eat if you're a Hindu, which all aspects of Hinduism agree upon, is cows. Apart from that, and I'm sure also horses. Yeah, why would you want to eat horses, by the way? And of course, I don't think I would discuss dogs and cats right over here, because no Indians would. No civilized Indian eats dogs or cats. Yeah, anyway, so there's no references to dogs or cats in the Atharva Veda, but there's a reference to a dog in the Mahabharata, right? Because Yudhishthir, when he finally met with Lord Yamraj, he said that I will not ascend to heaven unless I can bring my dog with me, because he has been faithful to me all this time. I can't leave my friend behind. So Lord Yama had to agree to the dog joining Yudhishthir in the Swargaloka. So that's how we know that in our Swargaloka, dogs are allowed. So anyway, that's the deal. So if you look at the Rigveda, there is no advocacy, there is no prescription that you can't eat meat, none whatsoever. And then, depending on which school of thought or philosophical school of thought you follow in Hinduism today, you may or you may not eat meat. But so it's allowed if you want to. If you are a Shakta, I suppose you eat meat. If you are a Shaivite, I suppose you can eat meat. If you are a Vaishnav, no meat, no, and other stuff as well. So it's entirely up to you. It's your choice. What appeals to you? Which way of life appeals to you within Hinduism? You can do whatever. The only thing is you can't eat beef. That's it.